Yo, back with another live stream, another video, and I wanted to continue watching these takes on Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Like I said in my last Cyberpunk Edgerunner video, I did enjoy the show. I thought it was good. I did think it was slow and boring up until episode 5, and then it took off, and I loved the show, and I wish they could continue or make more of it, but they can't unless I can't say why, but I got this video for you guys called Live Fast, Die Young, Cyberpunk Edgerunners. Let's check it out.
Honestly believe that? Really think you're special?
There might be spoilers in this. I'm not sure. I haven't seen the video. If there are, sorry.
I'm different.
You're not.
I'm different.
I am.
You're not.
Just a dope intro.
Cyberpunk Edgerunners was an anime I originally started watching for a more traditional review or reaction because it was a big name studio making anime for a big name developer. It would probably and did see a lot of traction, and that's a sad consideration of our world. What's gonna sell the best? This is something I've accepted about my passion. Yielding to the whims of someone else creatively sucks, but it beats living my entire life doing something I hate. You accept it and keep going because that's the only option. I bring this up because this feeling that I had, the idea of acceptance, is at the heart of Edgerunner's message and world building. Their world is cruel in the ways you'd expect of a technological dystopia. Your washing machine can turn off mid-cycle because you run out of money, which means it's checking your bank account constantly, which is terrifying. Your apartment can be locked anytime by your landlord, who can badger you for rent anywhere with the phone installed in your head. Garbage is piled on the streets of poor areas while trains run overhead for the rich to avoid them. You're left to die by emergency services that rely on subscription packages, and regular EMTs will rob you rather than save you.
This show makes it super terrifying to be poor. Like, even scarier than it is nowadays. It's absolutely mind-blowing, the world building they have in this show. It's super good. Something you won't see in the video game. Like, you'll pass by the homeless person occasionally in the game, but to actually have your character live through it, it's a pretty good show.
And if you don't make it through with those amazing odds, your ashes get given to your loved ones from a fucking vending machine after the doctor reminds you to pay the bill in monotone. And because anyone can have a weapon in any part of their body, because everyone is just barely held together by extreme levels of medication and can snap just like that, you never know when it'll be your turn to be the ashes in the machine. Well, that's at least true if you're poor. The rich get to avoid such things. Instead of working hard, they can lean back and download all the skills they could ever need. They get to show off the fruits of other people's labor, brag about how awesome the work they stole is. The monetization of this world creates a border that can't be crossed. It would require too much time, money, and energy for any normal person to go from the lower tiers to the higher ones. Moving up is impossible, but just enough near the edge it can lead others to chase it. But that's just a lie. There's an order in this world that's meant to be kept.
There's some sexual stuff in this show. I don't know if it's going to be shown on here, but this is for educational purposes. Don't ban me.
Edgerunners opens on David and his mother living what little life they can to stress why this doesn't matter. She works for extended hours, even running illegal goods on the side, and that's not enough to keep up with how much David's school costs, especially when they can force you to buy an upgrade at any time. To try and give her son a better life, she misses out on being able to actually live one with him. She exists to keep him in Arasaka Academy above all. Placed with the most telling course load for this world. It's endlessly fitting that the one class we get to see is a period of meditation. Why would they have actual classes when you can just transfer the data to yourself and have it on a whim? I think we can infer that's the whole situation here.
I mean, school is kind of a waste of time. And in a world where time is a lot of money, especially with a corporation like Arasaka, why not have a reason for students to be in there as long as possible so they can constantly make money?
This isn't a school, this is a place you have to pay for over 4 years to keep anyone from a lower status out of the higher echelons of society. It's literally buying a good future.
Yep,
the poor people stay where they are, looked down on by the trains and towers as they're gunned dead in the streets or caught in the crossfire with their lives suddenly ruined. David's life is forever changed by just this. Trapped between the gunman and their target on the highway, his mother crashes in the chaos and dies off screen because they didn't have good medical care. They did nothing wrong.
I guess this show is gonna be, this is gonna be full spoilers. So, like I said, spoiler warning.
But someone else's single action can tank an entire life's worth of work and savings. One moment can kill the life a mother dreamed for her child, one that was supposed to be worth giving up all of her own. But that's how their world is. All they do is accept it and move on. This is where the excellent world building comes in, selling just how much this is true of every single character in this world. Part of this is the series simply being unabashedly brooding and moody and completely going off my script for a second, but it just leans so heavily into the grit and stink that accompanies sci-fi dystopias. But it is more than that. It isn't just some cheesy look at the future. I mean, people treat this city like a toilet in a bedroom all at once because, based on everything we've said so far, why shouldn't they? They sleep on sidewalks and vomit on vending machines and piss in the open because what reason do they have to take care of a situation that can never get better? To be kind to a city which has never been kind to them. They weren't born with the money to buy a future to afford such kind of niceties. They greet each other naked in smoke-filled rooms or use an automatic fleshlight in public because no matter how much shame or health consciousness they have, there is nothing it will change. They escape into immensely fucked up super VR where you think you're living the experience of mass murder and death to escape the life they're forced to accept. They chrome themselves out, replacing their entire bodies with...
That's kind of crazy. Like, you can you have to censor nudity, but when it comes to like gore and stuff like that, it's more acceptable. That's pretty crazy.
Metal, even at the cost of their own sanity.
Can't show that.
Because what does sanity do in this world? It just lets you remember how shit everything is. Their doctors casually mention how it'll kill them, and they just keep going anyway. No one is really trying to die, but it's the single escape they have from the pain they all share. They share it so much it unites them in a way. This is a diverse world full of all kinds of people and pieces of their cultures. They speak different languages or with different accents, but that's never made fun of. It's never even mentioned. They don't fight over any of that like you see even in our world. Instead, they fight over class because that's the only true force between people in that world. Who cares what you look like or sound like when everyone has the same exact fate? All of this amazing world building accomplishes one goal. It makes the anime ooze a fucked up sense of acceptance. Life is shit, there is no escape, humanity has been robbed of anything real, so they have no reason to seek anything at all. Then, it puts us to good use by showing us what happens to those who somehow do. Everyone in their world is like a drive, limited in capacity from the moment they're created. Their storage is taken up with useless personal data, and when it's full, it's thrown away, and that's that. An efficient future society has made life itself another allotment like food or water. You're only to get so much, but this does present one technical option. How quickly do you fill up on that storage? If everything is shit and that'll never change, you can accept that and slowly fill up on vague, meandering experiences on the streets. But you can also throw all caution to the wind and decide that a few great moments are better than a life full of not so great ones. This is where we find David. He's a kid desperately craving real stimulation and excitement, never able to sit still. As he tries to maintain himself in any bland situation, his leg bounces endlessly. When he leaves the house, he jumps on a pile of trash below instead of taking the steps just for a momentary thrill. The second he gets any kind of cybernetics, he abuses them to the max and delights in it. After he sticks it to his bullies, he stops in the streets and laughs before falling into depression at home, staring at his mother's ashes. We begin to see what defines him here. He's losing his acceptance. Once willing to drop out of school and work a regular job, an act of acceptance, David begins to believe he is a special case in the city, one who can make it his, an act of denial. He distracts himself from the truth with the excitement he finds himself thrown within. His introduction is exactly this feeling as he engrosses himself in the experience of a murder spree ending in death, bodies cut in half, guns and explosions, cybernetics galore, and an exit from the world different from everyone else. Something fucked up, but special. He catches a glimpse of a legend. When he passes this spot later, he smiles, because that was someone who, for a moment, escaped the clutches of this world, found excitement, who did what he's always desired. And suddenly, he finds his own challenge to this world's stagnation. Lucy pulls him into the schemes of the Edgerunners, the outlaws of this world, making a living stealing chips from the rich and selling them to fund more chrome, more guns, and more parties after their jobs. They face death head-on, jumping out of moving cars without second thought, stealing as much as they breathe, brooding in the cold colors of this world without connection, and finding a warmth which contrasts it as they share dreams and stories in a way no one ever sees. They live through all this shit together, not alone with resignation. David and Lucy teaming up is exceptional.
Well, that wasn't the case in the beginning. He's saying a whole bunch of stuff that happened after dude almost got jumped and pretty much murdered until he talked his way out of it. I'm tired of everybody acting like Lucy's the best girl in this show. She is not. She is not a saint. All she is beautiful. And she's a capable hacker and fighter. That's literally it. She does not treat my boy David with any source of respect until after some stuff happens that I'm not going to spoil. And then after that, dude buffs up. And then next thing you know, oh, she's always hanging around David. Oh, David, when we're going to go do what I want to do? When we're going to go to the moon? Man, David out here trying to work for her. You ain't doing nothing. You over there, man. I hate Lucy. I'm not gonna lie. I don't hate her. I don't like her.
Exceptionally quick, and as we'll see later, it's because it's all a ploy to get back the implant he inadvertently stole from her boss. And for a 10-episode series, there wasn't enough time for some long courting romance. It had to be done quick. But as an element of the story, it also makes sense. It serves another purpose. It pulls you in, wraps you up in something entirely different from the first episode. Suddenly, the brooding feels personal and special. The escapism feels like a dream and not a distraction. The threat of death, a challenge, saying, "Come and get me, you stupid world." As they frolicked on the moon, I found myself lost in what was happening. With a good song and good animation, I just loved it. I wanted it to be real.
Yeah, just like David, and then
naive David.
Used.
And like a jaded Lucy, I wanted to escape into a new world from my own issues into an anime. I had found myself invested in theirs, how awful it was, and wanted something to prove it all wrong, to show there was some hope that humanity wasn't lost. I wanted excitement and change, something wild I'd never seen before, and the downright insane trigger those things, getting out of an awful world. Even though it's initially fake, David argues his way out of their ambush and becomes a part of the team where all of these things continue. A reprieve, a bit of tension killed by the levity of him joining on. He goes from their target to their newbie to their friend and eventually their leader. And now we'll get into the real trigger shit as things kick off with a mini heist and a batshit car chase, jumping barriers and grinding on the side, and motorcycle samurais and arm cannons and just everything. Fuck it, who cares? This is wild ride trigger action. Who really cares? Forget for a moment, get invested. This is the real shit we've been waiting for. I mean, look at this cast. There's the grizzled old maid taking David under his wing, Dorio who can fuck all your shit up with her fists, Rebecca and Pilar just being crude as shit and funny all the time, Kiwi hacking behind the scenes like Cyber badass, and of course Lucy doing that, and just general badassery too. There's these people who don't download experience. They found what was stolen from humanity in a way. They form genuine bonds and live a genuine fun life in a world where those things aren't supposed to exist. Yes, they're chromed, but they also actually train and actually speak about real shit, open and honest. Like a real teacher in Maine and a real student in David, not some hologram like they had in school. They're out there making the experiences other people download. They're humans living in a city which despises living. They have found an answer. They've broken the cold tones of their world with warmth. I want to see them prove.
By stealing and committing murder, they're a gang. This guy's really excited about this.
Die!
Oh, yeah, spoiler shit.
Fuck. And then this happens. Just as the story starts to feel like the most vivid and wild escapism, the same kind of shit David craved, the thing he thought he found, it's all thrown back at us. Everything was going well. A sense of complacency started to set in as they went into these training montages and this general everyday life. It felt like this was leading to what happened next in the anime. They would just be their adventures as a crew. But then the bloodiness and awfulness is turned on the people we wanted to win. We're reminded of what we forgot. You can't both live happily and long in this world. The overt, excessive goal reserved for throwaway characters is now for our main ones, the people who were supposed to help us forget.
Damn, he's spoiling the whole show. Holy shit.
For a moment now make us brutally remember. They're killed by nobodies, people with no importance to the story more than bringing death to kill and be killed. There's only so much life allotted to those below the highest tiers. The ones who live freely in this world do so at the cost of others who want to do the same. They make us remember. Escape isn't possible. No one in the city avoids their fate. All they can do is choose how quickly they want to reach it. Main's last words to David are exactly this in its whole.
Fast is what you do best, ain't it? Just keep running.
David ran. He never processed the loss of his mother, never stopped to take in what this world had done to her and done to him. He began to lose his acceptance of the world once he couldn't take it anymore and started running, never to stop again. He started to believe he was special, coping against fate.
Yep,
he ran to Lucy,
coping,
he ran to Maine, and he
100%.
ran into a world even more cruel than the one he knew. The cybernetics that make all of this possible drive them insane. Your memories get turned into snuff films for rich assholes. Your mind is hijacked and toyed with by those same programs, driving you insane just a bit quicker than the chrome and the medication. Going fast doesn't mean there's less pain. Like everything else, that's a guarantee with just a variable length. You just hope that there's so much going on that sometimes it's easier to forget how much you hurt. Or you never process it, you run and never stop to notice, and eventually you die without ever knowing. Your body may be mangled, but you leave behind a metaphorical corpse, one that's still beautiful for someone. There's another line from Ripper Doc that sums this up.
Go on, become that legend, or whatever the fuck you mercs do. Not a tale for the next dreamer.
David becomes a lot like Maine before him, taking up his promise even to use Maine.
Should have took Main's life as a warning, man. Just slow the fuck down, bro.
Maine's hands once he's done with them.
Just slow
He
down.
bulks up the same way, refuses to back down the same way. He was chasing a legend both then and even from the start. His mother was chasing a legend too. She had the idea that he would climb the ranks of Arasaka, the largest corporation of Night City, using that bought future to become a legend himself.
Man, David's life is so fucking nuts, man. Like, his mom wants him to be successful working for a company and David is pretty much, he has the knowledge to get there. He was passing all his tests, had straight A's. He could have made it to the top. But then his mom passed away, and instead of continuing, he found his own life in the streets, man. I think I said this in the last time I talked about this, man. The streets was calling for David. And David was like, man, forget this school stuff. Forget a normal job. I want to be a gang member. I want to do gang shit. I want to do hood rat shit with my hood rat friends. And it got him far. Probably farther than if he had a normal job. But he died. Fast as shit. Dude died the same age that I am now. It's wild.
Someone to escape fate. She gave her entire being to this idea and he wanted to follow it through. She does the same thing that he eventually does. In a drug-fueled stupor with his entire body lost to cybernetics, his mind slipping off the deep end and knowing he's about to die, he climbs Arasaka Tower all the way to the top for as brief a moment as possible, and then he falls back down and is killed. He achieves the dreams others set for him. He chased legend and became one himself. He escaped everything which was guaranteed to be awful in this world.
He became legend for all of a couple hours. And then it went to shit.
But only for a moment.
It ain't worth
But
it.
only in the most bastardized,
worth
most cruel way imaginable.
It was not worth
He had to run into just as much pain, only in a different and quicker and more concentrated way. He lost his mind and body and everyone he loved. He had to kill innocent and evil people alike. He had to become the exact thing that stole his mother away for someone else.
Was not
So
worth
did he ever even really escape? Did he actually do something grand? Did he actually become a legend? Or was he simply manipulated to feeling like one by a force from above? In the end, David wasn't special at all. He was allowed to think he was. He was part of a cycle. He was allowed to dream, to create.
He was manipulated. If anything, David was manipulated by, well, he wasn't manipulated in the beginning. I believe he was just led astray, not purposely manipulated. Like, hanging out with bad people, you'll end up doing bad things. And that only gets you so far in life. You're either going to get caught, go to jail, get caught and die, or something else bad. It rarely ever ends good. So,
Great an example to be followed by more dreamers. He was chased out of the shadows and used for his body as a test for Arasaka's greatest weapon, doing their bidding the entire time. Faraday, the fixer who provided his crew with work, was nothing more than a corporate dog, meaning the most they ever did was bash one big player for the sake of another. Their actions weren't planned, but they were sanctioned. David was allotted.
Now, the company manipulated the whole crew, 100%, especially David. But Maine, he tried to be a father to him, to David. He tried to be a father to David. David should have took Maine's death as a warning and just slowed down. Like, the whole time when he was like, nah, I love getting upgrades. I feel better with them and this and that. As soon as he started having, convulsions and cyberpsychosis moments, that's exactly when you should have just slowed down, bro. Just stop. Taking all these drugs is not going to help you.
A little more life than most, but only because it was useful to someone more powerful.
I think it only upsets me because I've seen people go down a bad path, knowing damn well they could have did way better in life if they actually tried, instead of just taking the easy way out.
He was able to handle an extreme degree of enhancement, letting him be the perfect test subject for Arasaka's cyber skeleton, the ultimate weapon to take the military market share from their greatest corporate rival. That's what his life, everything we see in this anime, comes down to. He was a test subject. They knew he was a viable one from the second episode. They knew of him. They could find him anywhere, anytime. They knew he would probably even hurt some of their own, as he does with both Tanaka and his son. But that's all just the cost of a good test.
Doesn't matter.
Once his usefulness was up, he was discarded. When life is so worthless, would Arasaka even really consider everything that occurred a true cost for their test, all that death and destruction? Or is that just business as usual in this world?
That's business as usual.
But even on a basic level, like for the other Edgerunners, he and his crew were allowed to exist in the way they did so they could become legends, the dreams for those who came next. The little bit of hope, the false proof that it's possible to be more than what you're born into, to keep people going, to keep them complacent, to string them along with enough acceptance they trudge through the shit, but always with a glimmer of hope, just enough to keep them from actively killing themselves.
It's possible. It is 100% possible if you find the right people to hang out with. People that aren't doing crimes, people that are just living their lives like normal. Hell, maybe some people that are doing extraordinary things. Those friends can help you get through it. You don't need to find a shortcut through gang banging or selling drugs to make it.
To create more test subjects, to keep workers going for profit. Letting a few people run wild to get that much profit seems like a good trade-off if you're evil. There is no escape, even when they choose to live fast and die young. All they are is pawns in a corporate game. Nothing makes this lack of value placed on life more heartbreaking than the resignation in Rebecca's voice as David completely loses his grip on reality.
You're right, Mom. I know I can. I'll do my best.
Best girl right there.
All right, David. Let's go. To the top, then.
He was a bright spark, and she probably hoped a fire would break out from him. But her voice makes clear that that hope is dead. She just comforts him, feeds his illusion for one moment, knowing full well that he's gone for good.
And Rebecca, she did not try hard enough because she liked him to the point that she was an enabler. She could have easily walked away and made David really choose, like, damn, do I really want to do this? Do I really want to risk my life to go to the moon for some girl? Or do I want to just take care of the people that are here now on Earth? Even though we're in a shitty city that doesn't care about us, we got corporations using us, everything's bad. But he found his sense of hope with his friends, so why aren't you trying to keep the friends that you still have with you? Why are you trying to go to the moon with this girl? Is it love?
That they had some amazing times, but they're all over now, that there's nothing more she can do, that from the very start, there was nothing she could ever do.
Not true.
It's clear that once you enter the life David did, you don't leave. You're hounded forever, only kept around and only allowed to exist as long as you're useful. You get drawn in by the excitement, the idea of legends that eventually one day it'll lead to something greater than what you came from, and then you're trapped just the same as everyone in the life below the threshold. You start to run, and you never stop, you never look back, and eventually you realize that you might have been running for nothing.
Exactly.
You keep the blood flowing, the excitement pumping, and in that you're able to be distracted. You start to think like he did, that you are special, that you'll be different. The acceptance fades into a denial fueled by medical suppressants and constant upgrades. You begin to destroy everything that once provided you humanity in an inhumane world. You turn into a monster, one who kills even their closest friends or loved ones, who slaughters innocent and guilty alike without hesitation. Trying to escape means power, and power makes monsters like those at the top.
Wild.
Eventually, you pass along the same fate, but you were able to spend a bit less time aware of it, less time feeling it creeping up as you went insane. But you don't even get to leave behind a good-looking corpse. It's mangled, robbed of its humanity, and gored. And not because of the chrome. It's not cybernetics that make this world less human. The most human connection we see is between people chromed to the teeth. They're human because they lived, because they loved and lost, because they chose their own path, because they chased legends like humans do, because they believed and hoped, even if they had to cut them short to do so. The lack of humanity isn't from enhancements to the body, it's from our mental and emotional forms being completely mangled. It's from those above the threshold who don't even provide the dignity of a good-looking corpse. So where do we go from here as we take the role David begins in, coming out of a fucked up experience and back into the harsh reality that surrounds us, the high of escapism fading out as we're forced to think about our own world, having done so for a fictional one.
You self-reflect. You hang around good people, and you do things to better yourself without taking shortcuts.
I don't know what comes next. David's end is simple. He laughs the same as he did when he first found the excitement he was chasing. In a way, he was happy with how it turned out. He got to leave behind quite a mess, forever escaping the cruelty around him.
And not only that, he didn't just go out alone. He took pretty much everyone with him. Out of a crew of, I think it was 6 or 7 people, only 2 of them made it out. One made it out with scars, one made it out with mental damage, and went to the moon.
By burning fast and bright. Is that something, at least, that he found some form of happiness in that world? Should we do the same, live fast and die young to stick it to the devils above us?
Hell no.
You'd be hard-pressed to find me saying exactly that. I spent years taking the careful path, very rarely detouring from a long, drawn-out existence with a guarantee of survival, but never of happiness. I'm not happy, and you can probably tell from how fucked up this script is how much I've said that word more than usual. I feel more connected to Edgerunners' world than most others in anime. Our own world is not as awful as theirs, but fiction is based in reality. Because of the professional world.
It's not as bad as Cyberpunk, but it could be a lot better. Okay, it could be a lot better.
Press and rat race. I've spent nights recently like David, staring at a screen lost in nothing at all. I've had weeks where I slept maybe 6 hours of the whole 168, agonizing over the pain I felt tied to in this world, one which tells me to give up a majority of my life to be rewarded with freedom 40 years from now. Just like it isn't cybernetics or technology which rob their...
I get what this guy is saying. The whole, just stick it out, and then 20, 30, 40 years from now, It'll all be better. It'll all be worth it. But not many things come fast. You know, life is slow. Like, I mean, you're doing pretty well for yourself. I don't know your name. Professor Viral, you're doing pretty well for yourself. This is a great essay. Like, and I get it. I'm just another normal person, another person on the internet, whatever. My comments mean absolutely nothing. But from my perspective of watching your video, you know, you're going through a normal stage of life, bro. We all have these moments where we're looking at our phone, or we're just sitting in our room just staring at the ceiling, like, what the fuck? What am I doing with my life? Is my life worthless? Is it pointless? Should I be doing something? You know, and the only way to figure that shit out is just being patient, bro. That's literally it. I live a great life. I live a blessed life, man. I live in Asia. I have a decent amount of money. I've seen the world. And even I find myself just staring up at the ceiling. You know, I used to be married at one point in time. I used to have a wife that was that would lay next to me in bed. So sometimes it's hard for me to even lay in bed. It's like, damn, there should be somebody right here, and now there's nobody here. You know what I'm saying? It's tough, bro. Life is tough. It's fucking hard, man. But just because things aren't what they should be or how they used to be or what you would want them to be does not mean you should just give up, man. You can always do something better. You're doing your YouTube channel is fine, but you don't need to just look at YouTube. You should go out, you know. I'm not saying just go out, go to the gym, because the gym isn't for everybody, right? So, but just go out, people watch, just enjoy the sun, touch grass. Like, I know that's a meme. A lot of people say to touch grass, but low key, like, I look, I have a fucking YouTube play button back there. Okay, I help contribute to that play button. Being inside all fucking day is terrible for your mental and physical health. And just going outside and touching grass is probably the most stress relieving thing you could ever do as a person. And a lot of people don't even think about it. Try it. Just go out and touch some grass. I swear. It should help you feel better. If it doesn't, then you need something else besides touching grass. Eat something healthy. Go out. Go for a jog. Listen to your favorite music. Something. Find new music if your favorite music's too old. Do something. Don't just do nothing. Doing nothing is terrible. If you don't like where you're at in life, you have to do something. Try not to take shortcuts. Hang around a good crowd. It's the internet. There's good crowds anywhere. You can just go on Twitch, fucking find some random stream and find somebody and have a conversation, end up becoming friends. Life is like that nowadays. We're all connected. Even though a lot of us are disconnected from each other, we're all still connected. You could easily join a random Discord server, meet everybody there, and become friends. It's that simple. You could easily go outside and you see somebody walking their dog, like, oh, hey, how's it going? How's the dog? What's your name? My name is this and that. Chop it up. You can do that. It's possible.
Our humanity, it's not those things for us. It's the forces which drive such things to be in their current states. It's the idea that we are nothing but their way to make money. It's the people who ask us to give up our bodies and our energy simply to be allowed to survive when they only succeed from being born into success. If you watch anything in the vein of Cyberpunk and don't come away with fuck corporations as at least part of the message, then you're doing some stupid mental gymnastics. Fuck the bastards that devalue your life and pit us against each other while doing it. Fuck the people who enforce a scarcity that doesn't exist, even to the extent of life itself being hoarded. There isn't a hopeful end to the anime, there's just a cycle David was always a part of.
Yep.
But after we observe this, there can be a hopeful end for us. To witness these things, to ponder them in our own world, and then to stand up to them with a resounding no. But there's nothing more I could add to the end of this video to make it any better. Normally I'd like to end on something a bit more open-ended, but Cyberpunk Edgerunners was very direct and brute with its message. These are things I've found in other series. You've probably recognized them from other videos, but they're just a lot more direct here, and that's because Edgerunners is a very brute force anime when it comes to this message. And that's Trigger's style, and they did it really well and found how that style really works. So it's a great series overall with a very true, sadly true message. But I'm already starting to ramble, so I'll just leave you with some important links in the pinned comment. Most importantly, my Patreon, where these lovely people above me support me directly and help me escape all these things I just complained about, which I appreciate to no end. But I appreciate everyone watching, as always, for giving me a moment of your valuable time.
This was a great video, dude. Great video. Professor Viral. Fucking great video. I'm gonna personally subscribe. Link in the description to the original video. Man, this dude, this was a great video. You know, even though I have my gripes and complaints with Cyberpunk Edgerunners in itself and your interpretations on parts of it, I still think this video was dope. I know you couldn't end on a happy ending, but it's life. Not everything needs to be a happy ending. But just know, like what you said earlier, like, bro, you're not alone. You're not alone. You got great people supporting you. Your channel's growing. You're doing great. You're gonna be fine, bro. Touch grass. All right. All the sad stuff out the way. No more reactions for today. I am going to just chill on Call of Duty for a little bit and then play some Watch Dogs.